Hey everybody, my name is Jim Farmer. I'm the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. This is our 36th year, and we have some amazing films this year. I'm so very happy about the lineup. One of the films that we're very excited about is a film called Fly. We're screening that on Friday night, September the 22nd at 9 o'clock. It'll be streaming briefly after that. I'm very excited that we're going to have the writers, directors, and stars of the film down here for the screening. And tonight we have them in conversation, Raphael Albaran and Trick Kendrick. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. I'm so delighted that you will be here to join us. Well, I have to ask you, how did this project come up for you?
You want to take it? I'll
Go
take
for
it.
it. Go for it.
So we met right maybe like 5 weeks before the pandemic and the lockdown happened. Uh,
Okay.
and those couple of weeks that we met, we were kind of like seeing each other, like possibly into a dating situation scenario. And
Yeah.
then the world ended. And Trent basically looked at me and he was like, "Hey, I have my family has a cabin in the woods in Colorado. Do you want to come and write that movie that you said you want to write for me?" Because the day we met, we both exchanged that we were artists and we were in LA and we wanted to make a movie. So the scenario came up pretty quickly and we took advantage of it. As soon as the pandemic hit, we went hands on board, and I feel like that's also one of the main reasons why the movie has that like very it's very good and fresh, like a real and authentic sense of what the pandemic was, because we were writing it while we were living it. So the process of creating the movie basically started like a couple of weeks from since we just met.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raf had given me a book of poetry that he had written, and I read it. And I'd been looking. I love to write with people. I love to collaborate. And after I read that book, I knew that I could write with him, and he hadn't written a movie yet. And
Yeah.
so we talked about wanting to write something together. And but at the time, he had a full-time retail job, and so finding the time to do that was a little bit difficult. And then lockdown happened, and we were like, "It's now or never. Let's do it." So we wrote it and took about 2.5, 3 years to get to here, and it's been a journey ever since.
Congratulations.
Thank
Raphael,
you.
your character is Raphael. Trent, you play Max. Can both of you talk about your characters and sort of how they intersect with each other?
So in the movie, we play exes, right? We haven't seen each other in many years. And when the movie starts, it's that first encounter after kind of like a traumatic bad breakup.
Yeah.
Um, and so my character that enters the screen being like this like very like self-confident. He's basically has gone through the hero's journey of working himself. He has done the hard work that the character of Max, on the other hand, hasn't done for himself. Like Max, basically what we can infer from that beginning of the movie is that when they broke up, basically Max hide himself behind another relationship and did no sort of like healing or work from their breakup.
Mm.
So my character kind of represents that, right? That like that person that goes through that process of healing and the rewards that like brings. There's nothing you can tell to this character that will bring him down. He knows who he is. He's comfortable in his skin, and he also is very vocal about the price that he kind of had to pay for it, right? It was hard, it wasn't easy, but now he's here. And so he comes back into Max's lives and works in some sort of like mirror, right? That old mirror that like they used to like be in this relationship, and now like Max almost cannot recognize Raph, right? And that's where like the conflicts and like all the fun stuff of the movie starts.
Sure.
Yeah, I think my character Max, he's from a small town in Kansas, and he is living in more boxes. He hasn't freed himself from the boxes that Raphael's character has. So I think that it's a relatable character in the gay community, because I think we all deal with a lot of like repression and So he's not as realized in his femininity, and he shames that in himself. And so when Raph comes with bags of drag in tow, he's very uncomfortable with that. But also, there's that desire to be liberated and to not care as much. But yeah, that's sort of the journey that we go on with Max as he learns to kind of let go of that shame and step into his own power.
How would you say, is there a lot of you in both of these characters?
I think that we I don't think that I think that I have healed from a lot of the repression
I
that
think there's
Max.
more Rav in me than there's Max in
True.
you.
Max, like, I mean, I was dressing up in drag in third grade in the small town in Kansas and going to for Halloween. So I don't think that I am exactly like my character. I think that we use my character kind of as a vehicle to go on this hero's journey. But Raph, on the other hand, he actually does have a drag persona, which we mirror and use in the movie. And he lived in San Francisco, and I think that a lot of that is kind of who you identify with in
Yeah.
real life.
And also like the kind of the idea of the movie in itself. I personally have this ex that I don't talk to.
Mhm.
And I went on kind of like the journey that the character Rav goes, like before the movie starts. I went on myself, and a huge part of the idea when the lockdown happened, um Trent was like in this house taking care of this dog, and he was like, wow, this is like a great setup for a movie. Like these two guys that just met and they have to take care of this dog that is not theirs. And I was like, well, what if instead of they just met, they were in a relationship many years ago and now they're stuck together? I feel like there's way more juice there to explore and conflict. And so like that's where like kind of like the main idea of the movie started, right? Like kind of me fantasizing of what would happen if I get stuck with that ex.
Raphael, can you talk to me a little bit about your drag persona and how long that's been part of your professional career?
So it is not part of my professional
Okay.
career. And the reason, one of the main reasons I feel like I immortalize her in this movie is
Okay.
I don't want to pursue a career. And I was like, I think it would be cheaper to produce a movie than to like have a drag
Okay.
career. But when I lived in San Francisco like 5 years ago, I lived in a house with two drag queens,
Yeah.
and they basically seduced me into try it for fun. And try it for fun was like caught 2 months after that. I was hosting my own parties and events at Bow in San Francisco. I was like performing with Lady Camden, that she just like, was first finalist in one of the last seasons of RuPaul. And like I was in the drag scene in San Francisco for fun for like 2.5 years with the drag persona of Jennifer Low Standards. And
Okay.
now I made her a movie.
That is great. That's great. So I would obviously, I mean, Max and Raphael are the two central characters. I would say that obviously there's some other characters. There's a character of Hunter, and I would also say that COVID itself is a character. Would you talk about those two characters?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we said, we wrote this at the onset of the lockdown, so we were kind of able to create it as we were experiencing it and going through it. And I think it was really important for us to kind of capture the zeitgeist of the time,
Sure.
because we felt like that was something that, you know, in 5 years, 10 years would be something that we'd want to look back on. And, it was this universal experience that we were all going through together. So, we joke that it's a gay film, but it's also not a gay film. I think it has this universality to it
Mhm.
because COVID is a character. And then who was the other one?
And then the character of Hunter, like in all the characters in our movie, we wanted like to like kind of like look for that twist, right? And like, we as humans, we have so many dimensions to ourselves rather than the things that like, like at first sight we would judge each other, right? So you have Hunter, who is like an athletic, he's like the antithesis or the opposite of what Raphael is with the masculinity. But that doesn't mean because he's in that masculinity or he like, you know, like spends most of his times like in worrying and working his physique. He's not aware, right? So we see that he's a character that like he's like more aware than Max in like, you know, gender and like in acknowledging another person's gender and like letting and making feel Raph seen. So we were interested in like looking for, you know, that kind of like, you know, opposite mirror of Raph, but still have that multidimensionality of like, you know, interesting like member of our community.
Exactly. Um, as I mentioned earlier, you two wear a lot of hats in this project. How can you talk about the challenge of wearing all three hats and how you were able to do it?
This making of this film, I joke about, killed me. It was incredibly stressful because, you know, we wrote it, we directed it, we were starring in it, we also produced it.
I was a costume designer. In the middle of takes, I was like in full drag, steaming his
Oh, this
clothes.
is great.
I'm sitting there thinking, well, you know, we're behind schedule. We have to.
It was the only way to be like the main reason why we did this. Like we obviously in an ideal world we wouldn't want to do all these things, but the main reason we did this was like to maintain costs as low as possible. Right? We're a micro budget film. At the time when we started shooting, we started with like what we had like maybe 100K or 150K. So we kept finding money along the way of the process to finish the film.
Yeah.
But you know, we started with a micro budget film, and it was like you have seen the film. It's a very ambitious film, right? Like you have a lot of like montages and sequences and costume design changes and music and
Ambulances.
like yeah, there's so much to it. We basically went on the suicidal like mission of making a studio film with a micro budget film. That's what Fly kind of is. And we had to wear all those hats in order to keep the costs as low as possible. And I feel that we successfully did it.
Nice. You certainly did. So this is still pretty new in its festival run, but just talk to me a little bit more about the future of this film and what you hope or where you hope it'll be and later this year, 2020.
So we really don't know.
Yeah, right now.
So it's like we're like going with the flow. When we wrote and created this film, we wanted to create something entertaining, right?
Yeah.
Like our main goal was actually we said that to each other. It's like what kind of movie we want to write or create, and we just wanted to create like one of those rom-com or like or comedies that you will want to watch over and over again with your friends, right? Like Legally Blonde, like Miss Congeniality, like Bridesmaids. These films that you've seen 10 times, but you always find it entertaining.
Exactly.
So that was our main goal, right? Our main goal wasn't to get into Sundance or win festivals or awards. And in the process of us navigating this entire festival world, it's been incredibly challenging because
Yeah.
a lot of people or a lot of festivals, like they're like, what is this? Right? This is not your normal festival film. Some people, so distributors, like, you know, they like, oh, this cannot exist like outside of the gay festivals, but then it's not true. Like, you know, like the 2 times that we've shown the movie, both of them to like almost sold out performances, we got standing ovation in both. Like people react incredibly positive to it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we were very successful in that thing that we put our heads of, which was entertain. The movie's entertaining and it feels fresh. So we just need to find someone that believes in it as much as we do and put us where we need to be. That being a streamer, that being in a limited engagement in theaters. I believe the film would do amazing in limited engagement through like theaters. Like if you target certain like big cities like Atlanta, Miami, San Francisco, like New York, you know, the gay hubs, and like you do like how do you say this? A targeting marketing strategy, like going to bars and drag shows and like, you know, bringing Jenny along the way, and you know what I mean? Like a little bit of creativity and not that much money, this could be successful. Like it costs so little to produce. Like I feel it would be like really, really easy to make that money back in the box office.
Okay.
But we just need to find that person. So if you know who it is, send them our way.
Hopefully you'll find that person really, really soon.
I think that's why festivals like this are so important, because
Very
it's about,
important.
you know, connecting with our community, and also, you know, letting each other know that, like, yeah, we need the audiences to feel passionate about it, to help, you know, spread the word, because we did everything ourselves and we've gotten to this point. And yeah, we you know,
And it's also like, for example, when you see this movie by yourself versus you see this movie in a packed movie theater, the experience is completely different. And
I
like
agree.
a lot of the sales agents or you know, distributor people, like, you know, they like have someone that sees it for them and give them a comment or so, and they base their decision in this, like, you know, this way. When you're in a packed theater, and this is why festivals are so important, and we're so grateful that you like make a little space for us here, like you get to see the magic of the film and how it lands and how an audience just makes it their own. Like nothing prepare us for what that world premiere performance at Alphas was.
Sure.
There were 50 people outside, sold out, like all these people wanted to get in, couldn't get in. Like it felt like we were seeing the movie with like live audio comments from the audience. Like they were so invested. Everyone kept just talking throughout the movie and laughing and making comments and screaming, and we were like, wow, like, you know what I mean? Like if those distributors were here. Right.
That's good. I am so happy that this film is part of our lineup this year, and I cannot wait for Atlanta audiences to not only see the film but meet you two as well. I look forward to a great Q&A Friday night, the 22nd. Raphael, Trent, thank you so much for making this film and for sharing it for us.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much for talking to you, and I look forward to meeting you. Tonight's Wednesday. We're taping this on Wednesday. We'll meet you tomorrow night at the opening night party. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Ciao.
Look forward to being
See
Thanks
you
so
tomorrow.
much.